The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And another day. Go ahead, CJ. You said you wanted a rant.
Oh,
you get the rant first today.
I got a little bit of the great information of the day. I wanted to bring up right away the fact that, we always talk about housing and how Fall River housing is just so wonderful. And, we need to bring more of it to Fall River and low-income housing for people. Well, guess what? That doesn't exactly work out too well. A recent federal audit by the Housing and Urban Development, which I have here, has shown that thousands of families are making incomes too high to qualify for public housing. As they continue getting their rent subsidized with taxpayers' dollars, more than 500,000 poor families are waiting to get on waiting lists to get housing with subsidized housing. Here's the problem. The audit found 25,000 families living in low-income housing, even though they make more money than the program allows. And they broke it down by states. Can you imagine which ones were the worst? Yeah. Well, let me give you a hint. One family in New Bedford, Massachusetts, is living under subsidized housing with an income level of $212,000, and they pay $5.25 a month for rent. Now, the director of Housing and Urban Development, in their official response, says these people are model tenants, and they're role for other families to look at. They're the role models.
Wow.
HUD also says that removing these families could make it harder for them to keep jobs and stay above the poverty line. Hey, at $212,000, I think you're far above the poverty line. What do you think, Chip?
Well, look. It's I'm really glad you read that last statement because, it just goes to show how corrupt and how unbelievably ridiculous government can the lengths they can go to justify when they screw up. Listen. The average income in New Bedford, household income is above Fall River's, but it's nowhere near the top. I think New Bedford ranks 7th in the state for cities of our size in average household income. Still below 40,000, I believe. It's around 38. And these people are making 200,000 for a household income. So they're about 5 times, more than 5 times, 6 or 7 times. Greater, 6.5 times greater than the household income. I don't think they're in jeopardy of falling below the poverty level if they have to actually buy a house or rent an apartment, especially in New Bedford where the rents are fairly low. Again, we see how if you give government anything, they will corrupt it. They will figure out a way to make money. I guarantee you these people are connected with somebody. I am a betting man. I love to go to the casinos. And I will wager anyone that these people are connected. And if anybody wants to see the depth of corruption, I suggest that you go online, check out Howie Carr's articles on the casino. The latest one, I believe, is called Casino Gold. And where he shows how every politician, both Republicans and Democrats, had a plan to bring the Olympics to Massachusetts so they could literally make tens of millions of dollars with the construction phase, with the other phase, another big dig. And this is why things come. It's not about the people. They don't care about the people. The Olympics, they told you, they gave you the pablum, and they washed it down with the Kool-Aid about how the Olympics was going to help the economy. And we all know that whenever any place has had an Olympics, what you end up with is derelict venues after they're done in massive bills. It's short-term gain for long-term loss. The reality is the people that make the money and how he names them. The contract that basically was Menino's right-hand man, gave Menino his second job, and made literally hundreds of millions of dollars doing construction work. This is what makes government work. And this is why we have to change government. This is why we have to impose term limits on these people. We can't have people spending a lifetime in Boston. And I believe there was an article I saw somewhere, maybe on Facebook. I don't go on it very often, but somebody posted something about, it showed some of the congressmen and how long they'd been in Congress. 34 years, 38 years, 40 years. You know, the problem with that is that we all know that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. These people cannot stay in Washington that long without succumbing to the paychecks that these lobbyists give them. We all know about the congressman who stood up for the drug industry against the people. He was ultimately ousted from office, and what happened to him? He got $1 million a year consulting job with the pharmaceutical companies. This is the way it works. And if the people in this country believe that, you know, government is working for us today on any level, they're crazy. And now we can segue to Fall River's government, because here we go.
Hey, come on. You know, Jason Burns did it all by himself. He got $2 million for a SAFER grant, and that's going to save the Fall River Fire Department, and it's going to make Fall River safe again. Come on, Chip, you know that.
$2 million, huh? Well, the last time I checked, they were computing 100,000 per firefighter. Why didn't we get 20?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I do math. We should have got 20, but that's irrelevant. But before we do, I have a huge announcement here. I want everybody to know. Here we go. The mayor that never shows up in the city hall is going to be there. We can have a mayor sighting on August 1st and 2nd at Durfee High's tennis courts, because he's going to give a tennis clinic, and he's going to give out 25 rackets and a ball. I don't know what you're going to do with one ball in tennis, but you're going to chase that thing around all day, because you have to have at least 3, normally in play. So they come 3 in a can, by the way, in case you don't play tennis.
Hey, Chip, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Does that mean the mayor has a racket, or he finally found his balls?
I don't know. Either one. And listen, this is the big one. Ages 7 to 8, 9 to 10, and 11 to 12. And with the double asterisk, the first 25 kids in each group will receive a free tennis racket and ball. Wow, thank you. Maybe instead of the rackets and the ball, you should have been giving out bags or chits to waive the solid waste pickup fee, which now segues me into the SAFER grant. Well, here we go again, folks. We all know the definition of insanity: to repeat the same action over and over again and expect a different result. Well, here we go. We talked about grants, and ironically enough, one of his own transition team, former Mayor Bob Correa, wouldn't take the SAFER grant because he knew they were not sustainable. And here we are again. We just got a trash pickup fee implemented to subsidize the firefighters and police officers we have on the job now. And we go out and we take another grant. And on the radio today, he was quoted as saying, well, when the grant runs out, we may get another one. So I guess his idea is to keep us on federal welfare for public safety for the rest of our lives, which isn't going to happen. And secondly, he said, and if that doesn't happen, these positions may be absorbed. I would like to know what he means by absorbed. Sam is really great at using these euphemistic terms that can be construed in a different way. You know, like he blames things on things that, like the retirement system is a problem. Well, it's a problem because you idiots don't fund it. You know, healthcare is a problem. No, it isn't. You've made $12.1 million in the actually now it's 14.4 in the last 5 fiscal years by taking it out of the pockets of the people who bargained for that health care. So those are not even half-truths. They're out-and-out lies and misrepresentations. So now we're talking about we may, not we will, we may be able to absorb these jobs. What does absorb mean? Are we going to lose those 10 positions by attrition rather than laying somebody off? Are we going to maintain those positions by increasing taxes and fees again? Shame on you, and shame on the union. Because the fact is, you have an obligation, not only to your membership, but to the people of the city of Fall River, not to keep going out and begging for money. Instead of standing near the mayor and kissing his butt because you got a SAFER grant and blowing party horns, look at the forest for the tree. You're not doing your men any good if they get laid off, ultimately. You're bringing people on short-term and they're going to be laid off in a couple of years. Is that fair? Look at what's happened already. Most of those people that got laid off from the Fall River Fire Department are not coming back. And I don't blame them. And as a matter of fact, I advise most of them to stay where the hell they are. Because they don't have to worry about their job in Newton. They don't have to worry about that job in Brookline. They don't have to worry about their job in Framingham. Because those communities prioritize public safety. They don't have to go out begging for new trucks. They don't have to go out begging to keep their jobs. The people in that community's tax dollars are prioritized and used for public safety. And rather than going out looking for a handout that we can't sustain, because I'll say it again for the 4 millionth time, grants are not made to supplement departments. They're made to supplement, not sustain departments, okay? They're there only as a stopgap while you figure out ways to get the funding to keep those positions. And that's not the way we do it in Fall River. As usual, we do everything in Fall River ass backwards. We take money, then we take the money that money was utilized for, divert it, and then when that money runs out, we go, oh, we can't afford these positions anymore. We have to raise your taxes and your fees. Why isn't the fire union fighting the mayor and saying, let's make public safety a priority. Let's make our tax dollars pay for essential services for the people in this city. Let's make sure that my tax dollar is spent for police protection, fire protection, education, trash pickup, and essential services. Not pay raises for those clowns that they don't want to they don't want to give a pay cut to. As a matter of fact, they want to give a pay raise to. And at the next city council meeting, I will appear before the council and show them the documentation of the $146,000 that was put in the employer account rather than the employee account, which is a violation of the law, by the treasurer, who already makes too much, who got a pay raise, and who has 4 assistants. What's wrong with government? Sam Sutter has not done one thing to reorganize government, to streamline government, to make government leaner, and to make government more sensitive to the needs of the community that he is the mayor of. No, he's given tennis clinics and rackets and a ball. Because, you know, this is what's important. And there's no plan. Fall River has no plan. It's the same, it's business as usual. It's like, okay, spend all the money you got, and when we run out of money, we raise taxes and raise fees again. Well, guess what? You've almost killed the city. We're on a respirator now, you know. I don't even know if we have a do not resuscitate order, but we should, because we should go directly into receivership, because that's the reality. This city, as I said on the last show, is raising $42 million more than it did 5 years ago. Where's it gone? Who knows? Kathy Ann Viveris has said she saved $21 million. CJ and I had a meeting with Kathy Ann, and she went over it, and we said it was all baloney, but let's say for the sake of argument, she was actually correct. So you add 21 million to 42 million, that's 63 million bucks they've had in the last 5 years, extra. And we're still out of money. We still had to raise a fee to keep firefighters on the trucks. We shouldn't be looking for grants. We should be holding the mayor and the city council's feet to the fire to say, I pay my taxes to have police officers, firefighters on the street protecting my safety. That's a fundamental right. That is a fundamental right we have in this country. If you look at the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, it says something about the public welfare and provide for the common defense. And that's not only military defense, it's the defense of the public in their own communities. Why do we have cities? Why do we have a government? As I told you, the government is a necessary evil. We have a government there only to take our money. This is not a profit-making business. They have a moral obligation to take our money and use it for us, but they don't. Just like they didn't, that's why they weren't going to use the money for us with the Olympics. They're not using the money today in Fall River for the people or for services in a community that is in dire need of public safety. And everybody's on the bandwagon. And you know something? The only people that can change it are you and I. And I hope everybody is as upset as they seem to be, because we need a drastic change. We need to sweep that house clean. And it can't be just talk. You can talk, you can talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk. Don't be like Willie Loman in The Death of a Salesman when he said, I don't want change, I want Swiss cheese. So the fact is, if you're more worried about what's on your sandwich than changing the government, you get what you deserve. And I'm going to tell you, this SAFER grant, while we need the men, is an absolute travesty, because they acquired this SAFER grant again, as the Flanagan administration did, with absolutely no plan on how to generate the revenue to sustain those jobs when the grant disappears. So that's the reality of it. So stop patting yourself on the back and giving yourself bursitis, because you're all full of crap. Go ahead, CJ.
Well, you know, Chip, you're absolutely right. As soon as Jason Burns, who is the president of the firefighters union, had posted that we got the grant, we have 10 more firefighters, I turned around and said, you're to blame for this. You are to blame for this. Your union is to blame for this. Not only the mayor, not only the city council, but the union. You know, under Bob Correa, I believe is when they first went down to 153 firefighters. Am I mistaken there, Chip?
No, that's it.
Okay.
2008.
Right. They went down to 153 firefighters. Nobody said a word. Nobody complained about it. Nobody said anything. The union did not say a word. Nothing. Willie Flanagan comes in. Boom. We get a SAFER grant. We add 22 firefighters. Yay! Look, we got more firefighters. Hooray! Guess what? We didn't plan for that. We went hat in hand again, begging. We got a little bit more money. We kept a few of those firefighters on. Yay! We kept a few firefighters on. Go for a third bat. A third bite at the apple. The city was told, clean up your house. Make a plan. Did we? No. Why? Because we're used to living on the federal government welfare tea. And that's what we do. Okay? The firefighters are at fault at this. The union's at fault for this. The leadership is at fault for this. The mayors are at fault for this. And so is the city council. You don't complain when you're down to 153 and everything seems to be okay because you don't want to lose your jobs. You don't want to lose any position with any sitting mayor. You know what? Grow a set. Don't have the mayor giving them out over at the Durfee tennis court. Because this is ridiculous. Am I against the safer grant coming to Fall River? Not if we have a plan in place. But to constantly go for the safer grant, to say, without it, we're not going to have firefighters. We had 300 firefighters at one time in this city. 300. And we didn't have a problem. You know, we just had a fire a couple of days ago. They complained that we don't have enough firefighters. And we had to have mutual aid from Swansea, Tiverton, Westport. Somerset couldn't come over. And we complained about that. We have every person in the city, and I'm going to say this very clearly to you, the voter. You're idiots. You buy the pablum. You fall in, oh no, we're not going to have firefighters. The city's going to fall apart. Oh no, we're not going to have police. Crime is going to go crazy. Guess what? Crime is already going crazy. I don't care if you add another 100 police to the police department. Guess what? Crime is still going to run crazy because you don't address the problem. You try to address the solution. You got to first identify your problem, then see what tools you have, then come up with a plan of correction to correct the problem. The problem is that Fall River wants immediate action on everything without thinking about what's going to happen. Well, you got your safer grant. Now, Mr. Burns, now city councilors, now Mr. Mayor, get off your backside, do your job, and put a plan in place so that department is funded, not at 172, at the necessary manning that we need. Because if you don't do it, you're robbing the people of Fall River. And you're denying the people of Fall River what they pay their taxes for. And that, I'm done.
Well, okay, let me just say one thing first about the statement. Now, we don't have enough firefighters to fight a mill fire. You can never have enough firefighters to fight an actual full-blown mill fire. We had 300 men, and there were many mill fires I went to. We had 255, 300 men. When we had Notre Dame Church, and the church burnt down and 34 six-family houses with it, and we lost 4 city blocks. It was the last conflagration, I believe, in North America, and I spent 28 hours at that fire. So we had units from as far away as Boston come down to Fall River. We had so many communities here that I can't even remember. I mean, we had places from Rhode Island that couldn't even hook up to our hydrants because they have a different thread, and we had to get adapters, and we had to coordinate their standard operating procedures with ours. It was a horror show. But I mean, you know, we almost lost the entire east end of the city. Had the wind been blowing the right way, we might have lost all the way down to the Quequechan River that day, because that fire was just so big and so intense that it's beyond comprehension. And if you don't believe it, someday take a ride up to fire department headquarters and watch and look at the films they have, the photos they have of the sequences of the 6-family houses across the street, what we call flashing over. They went up simultaneously from top to bottom like match heads. When that fire was over, there were 34 buildings and not one brick was standing. There was a third of a chimney somewhere in the middle. You know, so the fact is, look, nobody can fight fires of that consequence. You're always going to need mutual aid. It's a defensive fire attack, so put that away. But what bothers me is it wasn't too long ago that the city eliminated 14 city-funded positions, and nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. The council didn't say a word. The union didn't say a word. Nobody said a word. I went before the council during that budget hearing and pointed out the fact that they were taking away 14 firefighters, not that were funded by a grant, but were being funded by our tax money. Now that money's disappeared and we'll never see it again. And that's the problem. The fundamental problem is Public safety has always been used to hold the public hostage. If they want your money and they want your taxes, they'll say, we're going to take police and fire, and the city's going to burn down, and the police are going to... guess what? It's up to you to get their butts out of those seats, get the mayor out of office who tells you that, and tell them, no, I want you to use my money to pay for firefighters and police. I don't want you paying a treasurer that can't put money in the right account. $125,000 and giving them 4 assistants. I want lean government and a priority for public safety and citizen services. That's what you have to do, because you know something? What Howie Carr said in his article, what we say here almost every day, every week, time and time, ad infinitum, is that government by nature is inefficient, ineffective, and incompetent. And the only time they're even close is when they know that their jobs are on the line, and if they don't do the right thing, they're going to be out of office. But when we continue to put congressmen in for 40 years, city councilors in for 20 and 25 years, that have voted on the wrong side of a bunch of issues, and then you vote for them because, what? They said hello to you in a coffee shop? As I've always said, listen, if my neighbor if my neighbor's maybe the nicest guy in the world, and I may go into his yard and take a hamburger or invite him over if I'm grilling something out, but if he's the worst auto mechanic in the world, I'm not going to take my car to him. The fact is, if a politician can't do the job, this is one of the most important jobs in this nation. They're running this nation on all levels, and we put nitwits in, one nitwit after another, and incompetent. They don't have the ability to do the job, and qualifications are the last thing considered. They worry about their haircuts. They worry about how they look on television. They worry if they have the right... Oh, he's in favor of one thing that I like. Even though he's going to take all my money away from me and tax me to death, I don't care, because he's on the right side of one issue. You know, the electorate is not... They don't think. They market politicians today like they sell hamburgers. And... you know, if you eat those plastic things in the fast food places, then you wonder why you grow 4 heads from the GMOs. Well, it's because you do it. Pay attention, get educated, and let's change the world. And like I said, don't be like Willie Loman. You know, don't say, I don't want change, I just want Swiss cheese. You know, change. We got to get together, and we got to elect good leaders, because remember what Genghis Khan once said, an army of donkeys led by a lion is far better than an army of lions led by a donkey. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, CJ.
Well, Chip, we've had a bunch of donkey leaders for a long time. And, you know, that says a lot for Fall River. But, you know, I a lot of times get very frustrated with the fact that as much as the information we present to the public and present to the city council, it's ignored. It's ignored all the time because they don't want to hear the truth.
And you know what bothers me, CJ? Because I know a lot of these guys personally, obviously. I know a young kid who got on the fire department. He used to work out with me at the gym. Great kid, tremendous condition, loved the job, wanted to do this, wanted to have a career in the fire service. Got on the floor of the fire department, was the happiest kid in the world. He gets laid off, comes back, gets laid off again. And now he's going to stay up in Newton because he's sick and tired of it. And we lose these people who really want to work in their own community, who want to be part of the Fall River Fire Department, who want to protect their community, and they're obligated for their own livelihood to not come back to this crap hole because of the way this government treats them. And, you know, we're going to lose most of the people who left, and they're not coming back. And that's what really, you know, well, gets me upset.
Oh, I know. And, you know, it's tough all the way around for us. But, hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you Friday. And have a great day.
Stay angry.